All right, let's talk about snake plants. We're going to go on a little mission today to take that one plant you absolutely love and turn it into a whole army of new ones. And the best part? It's completely free. Let's dive in. I mean, who doesn't love their snake plant, right? They're tough, they look incredible, and let's be honest, they basically thrive on being ignored. But what if you could have more of them, like a lot more, without spending a single penny? Now, it sounds super easy, and honestly, it can be. But there's this one super common mistake that almost everyone makes. And it's the kind of mistake that turns a beautiful cutting into, well, a jar of gross, mushy failure. We've all been there. But today, we're going to make sure that does not happen to you. So, let's frame this as your official propagation quest. Seriously, think of it less like a chore and more like a choose-your-own adventure for your plant. Every decision we make from here on out gets you closer to that amazing reward. More plants. All right, your first choice pops up right away. I like to call it the genetic crossroads. And which path you take? Well, it depends entirely on the specific snake plant you've got sitting right there in front of you. Okay, so this is where it gets really simple. Just look at your plant right now. Does it have those cool yellow edges? Maybe some silvery stripes or patterns? That's what we call variegation. If you see that, your only option is division. That's it. But if your plant is just a solid, beautiful green, hey, congratulations, you get a choice. You can do division or you can do leaf cuttings. So you're probably asking why? Well, it all comes down to this thing called genetic reversion. See, those awesome patterns, they're actually a genetic mutation. A beautiful one, but a mutation nonetheless. So when you take a cutting from just the leaf, the new plant that grows from it actually goes back to its original dominant genetic code. And what does that mean? You'll get a perfectly healthy baby plant, but it'll be solid green. So here's the bottom line. If you want to keep those stripes and patterns, you absolutely have to use the division method. Okay. So for everyone who has a solid green plant and can do leaf cuttings, you've now arrived at the great debate. This is the question that you see on every single plant form online. Do you root it in water or do you root it in soil? And at first glance, the answer seems pretty obvious. If you're just racing to see the first tiny roots, water is the clear winner. You'll see roots in like 4 to 6 weeks, where soil can take up to 8. So water it is. Case closed, right? Well, not so fast. This is where things get really interesting. Let's dig a little deeper with this showdown. Yeah, we see the time to roots, water's faster. But look at the other columns. The time it takes to get a pup, the actual new baby plant, that's a different story. And then look at that last column, root quality. One says aquatic fragile and the other says terrestrial robust. Trust me, this one little detail changes absolutely everything. And that brings us to the secret science of roots. This is the real aha moment of this whole thing. Seriously, understanding this one concept is the key that will unlock success and help you totally avoid that mushy mess we talked about earlier. Okay, check this out. It's because roots grown in water are fundamentally different from roots grown in soil. I love this analogy. Think of it like flippers versus feet. Water roots are kind of weak and brittle, with this waxy coating. They're built for one thing, absorbing oxygen dissolved in water. Soil roots, on the other hand, are strong and fuzzy, with all these tiny little hairs. They're built to grip onto soil and find oxygen in all those little air pockets. They are two completely different systems, designed for two completely different environments. And hey, don't just take my word for it. Listen to this from an expert report, and they don't pull any punches. These aquatic roots are often incapable of transitioning and will typically desiccate and die. Wow. I mean, that's pretty direct. The flippers, they just can't learn to walk. So here's the reality of what's happening. When you finally move that cutting from water into soil, the plant goes into what's called transplant shock. It basically has to ditch its now useless water roots, the flippers, and spend all its energy growing a completely new set of soil roots, the feet, from scratch. So that head start you thought you got by rooting in water, poof, it's often completely gone. Okay, so now that we know all that, let's build the ultimate success plan. This is how you get it right the first time, by working with your plant's biology instead of fighting against it. And success starts with the perfect cut. 3 simple things. 1, always sterilize your blade with some rubbing alcohol. Prevents nasty infections. 2, and this is a great pro tip, cut an upside-down V shape into the bottom. This does 2 things. It gives you more surface area for roots, and it makes it impossible to plant it upside down, which Yeah, will definitely not work. And third, and this is the step everyone skips, you have to let it callus over. So, what's a callus? It's basically a scab for the plant. It's a protective hardened layer that forms over the open wound. And let me be clear, this step is absolutely non-negotiable. Waiting 2, maybe 3 days for this to happen is the single best thing you can do to stop your cutting from sucking up too much water and turning into that mushy rot we're trying to avoid. Next up, the soil. You know the #1 killer of cuttings in soil? Rot. It's always rot from too much water. We're going to prevent that with a super easy, totally foolproof mix. You just take 50% regular potting mix, that's for the nutrients. And then, this is the magic ingredient, add 50% perlite or pumice. That's what creates all the crucial little air pockets so the new roots can actually breathe. Yeah, this really drives it home, right? The 50-50 rule. That's all you have to remember. Half potting mix, half perlite for aeration. That's the whole recipe. This mix gives you structure, but makes it incredibly hard to overwater. It's pretty much the perfect nursery for those strong, soil-ready roots to grow from day one. And finally, let's just manage our expectations here. This is the real journey. You make the cut on day 1, but you might not see a single root for like 6 weeks. And then, you could be waiting 4 months, maybe even longer, before you see that adorable little baby plant, the pup, poke through the soil. So I'm going to say it, the most important tool you have for this is patience. So after everything we've talked about, the choice really comes back to you, doesn't it? Do you want the fast way that only seems fast at the beginning and comes with a huge risk of failure? Or do you want the strong way, the one that builds a solid, healthy foundation for a new plant right from the start? Now you know the science. The choice is yours.